It is the Mosley Show, and we are off and running on a Tuesday. Lots to share with you today. It is franchise tag season in the NFL, and we already had the report that George Pickens is going to be franchise tagged. We're hearing about more players that's going to happen with, and we're also hearing about the George Pickens group wanting to get his representatives wanting to get something done and wanting to start the process at the combine. We'll see. Throw that up there again. I like that, Kev. There's Pickens. There's the great George Pickens. And as we look at this list, and we did see earlier today, one of the names on this list, it looks like Seattle will not use the franchise tag on Kenneth Walker III, even though he was he was a Super Bowl MVP. It was great for them during the postseason and really came on late in the season to have a tremendous year. They're not going to put the franchise tag. So basically this afternoon you can start it, and today through March 3rd, you can put the tag on. And then, of course, you have the opportunity to have exclusive rights, put the tag on him. You could still try to reach a deal. I don't think most of these running backs, including Brice Hall, I don't know. I think Brice Hall is going to be a free agent. I don't see them putting the franchise tag on him. Kev, you may have seen something differently, but I think Brice Hall is probably going to be out there. It'll be available in free agency. Trey Hendrickson, again, it just seems like he stays completely at odds with the Bengals. Pitts, the tight end out of Atlanta, of course, and then we'll see what the Colts. Kevin, who does a Colts and does a lot of Indianapolis area sports. That's an interesting pair there, because the Colts were obviously headed toward big things with Daniel Jones as their quarterback, and then he gets hurt. He's out for the season, and so the question becomes, how do they handle that moving forward? Kev, what I've seen is that they are gonna try to hold on to him. And then what's the deal with Alec Pierce? What's the latest?
Well, okay, so we've talked about this on our podcast, All Indiana Sports. You can see that after this show. Watch the rest of this show for sure. But we don't buy the Daniel Jones thing at all, especially because the injury happened in, I think it was week 12. And this is an Achilles injury that should take a year to actually recover. So you're going to sign a guy to a big deal when he's not even going to be available until the back third or fourth of the season.
You don't have to sign him to a big deal. I mean, you could just use the franchise tag on him.
True, but
while it's a lot of money for 1 year, I get it.
Franchise tag may be more expensive than doing a 3-year deal that is still pretty big. You could, because he showed you
could spread it out more on a long-term deal is what you're saying.
He showed you a lot, but then once he ran up against the Steelers defense, he turned the ball over 6 times. He kind of laid it out against the Chiefs. Yeah. Alec Pierce has done nothing but ascend his entire time. The last 2 years has set the bar with the highest yards per catch of a receiver the last 2 years in the NFL, with the certain minimum of catches on there. And last year he had his first 1,000-yard season. And in his first game with the Colts, if people don't know, he went up against Houston. That was the terrible 22 season for the Colts. And he dropped a potential game-winning touchdown and got concussed on the same play. And at that point, we were like, this guy's done. But since then, just nothing but absolute ascension. So, Pierce is my pick for the tag.
We'll see. And again, what the tag is a placeholder. Let's just remind our listeners and everything. You put the tag, and then that gives you buys you time to get a long-term deal done. Doesn't mean you will. And again, when it's the Cowboys, it sometimes leads to drama. And they used to like to avoid the tag, but in recent years they have used it and used it with some success, sometimes not. They had it on Dak for at least one full season. I think they had him on the franchise, as I recall, and he didn't love it, but he showed up and did his whole thing. We'll see where and interestingly, it seems like CD and Dak are really lobbying on behalf of George. Now, there is a thought out there, and the reason I wanted to bring this up because we got a lot of Cowboys fans. Appreciate all our Cowboys fans who jump on the show on Twitter. Want to encourage you to go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube because we talk about all these things. And of course, we got the combine coming up, the draft. And I do still have a lot of friends in the scouting community. So I'll hopefully be able to give you some insight into all of that, into all of how this is going to go over the next couple of months as we get you ready for the NFL draft. And it's going to be big. It's going to move quickly. There's going to be a lot of interesting names along the way. And the Cowboys in some ways control the first round of this draft with the picks at 12 and 20. And so it's going to be really the build up to this draft will be a lot of fun, more fun than usual for the Cowboys, who generally over the years have sort of picked in the 20s. And because they're always kind of decent, even when they're not, they might have one pick and it might be around the top 10 pick. But to have the two picks makes this a far more interesting draft. Now, I think, everybody always asks, wait, can you pay two wide receivers more than $30 million? Well, the Cowboys are going to restructure some contracts and end up with about $100 million in room against the cap. And that would allow them to, if they so choose, to do this. They also have 3 defensive tackles that are scheduled to make $20 million or more a year in Quinnen Williams and Kenny Clark, and then Osa, of course, Digizua. So let's remember all of that. There's some restructuring that can be done. And the question's always, can you pay 2 wide receivers at the same time $30 million a year or $30 million or more a year? I would point you toward the Bengals. I would point you to the Detroit Lions with Jameson Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown. They both make $30 million or more per season. So there is precedent. It can be done. And so anyway, sometimes Steven likes to say, we can't do this, or no, you can't do this. You can't have this guy. You can't pay the quarterback $60 million to do this. Well, they do it. They do it. They absolutely do it. And let's not act like, golf's not making huge money with Detroit. Nobody's making, there may be one quarterback making Dak Prescott money. I'm trying to think of the extension since he got his huge deal, the huge quarterback deals. I knew somebody would finally surpass him. I'm trying to remember who that is right now, because the deal we were waiting on was, let's see, Burrow has a huge deal that got done. And I don't know, Kev, do you know off the top of your head another deal?
Nope. What? Nobody makes Dak Prescott money.
Nobody makes $60 million a year.
No, Allen was the latest QB signing last year after his MVP season. He did not. I think he had 55. Before that, it was Purdy, and so nobody makes Prescott money.
What does Lamar Jackson make? Look up Lamar Jackson.
Will do.
Per season. See if anybody even approaches it. Wow, $60 million. Yeah. Dollars a year. That's interesting that Dak still generally at any position, if it's been a couple of years since you've gotten your big deal, somebody's going to pass you up at some point. And I think Dak did so well. Nobody can. It's like set such a record, a high bar. Nobody can pass it.
Lamar is 52, so he is
52 a year. Okay,
4th on the list, I believe, behind Purdy, Allen, and Prescott.
All right,
Burrow and Trevor Lawrence. They both are like in the 51, 52 area.
Kevin is keeping us straight on all these things. Kevin, last night, and you can bring this up in Campus Confidential, nothing I'm about to say will preempt us from bringing this up again because it was such a big game. I love these Monday night games, the big Monday, the big featured game. They'll put like a Duke game against somebody awful like Syracuse. I think that was their game last night as a lead-in. Duke ends up winning that like 101-67. Not a game, not a ball game. Sadly, Syracuse is not what it used to be under Boeheim. They've been pretty bad now for several years.
There's a lot of basketball royalty that was there, though, because there are a lot of kids of basketball royalty in that game.
Well, Carmelo being one of it, he was at the game, but it doesn't really matter who they bring. Well, yeah, on that side of it, yeah. Well, two boozers were out there, and their dads, their respective fathers were at the game. I think Cooper Flagg stopped by as well, so fun to see Cooper making his way. I sometimes, Kevin, we have this thought that the one and dones in college basketball, like that they play that season, they're barely in school, they're not trying to get their college degree, they're trying to get to the NBA. And yet I'm always struck by, even with Carmelo all those years ago leading Syracuse to the national championship, like their ties, even after that one season in school, they still love their alma maters. I think we have this thought of like one and done, like they're basically didn't even go to school.
And their attachment,
their attachment to the school. Yeah, I saw
Khan was there. Malak,
yeah,
he was there.
I saw him. Yeah, and Maliak, I think is how you say that. But and by the way, that's another thing people say. Well, you can't win with. You can have one and done player. You can't like have three freshmen. It's like, well, I don't know. Duke almost won a national title, and they had 3 one and dones on that roster last year. In fact, they had 3 dudes that I think went in the top 8 in the lottery. Cooper, Khan, and Malawak, at least top 12. All 3 of those guys, I think, were off the board by the time you got to 10 in the lottery. Khan's been great. If not for Cooper Flagg, Khan Knipple would be the. So they've been incredible. The reason I'm bringing up college basketball is last night we got to see the Cougars in Iowa State. And boy, Kev, the Iowa State people were after me. I didn't mean it as a slight to Iowa State, but I simply said what I think is true, that the best road program in the country is the Houston Cougars. I mean, just look at what their record is in the Big 12 since they came in. It's like 45-5 or 46-5 or something. It's insane, which if you look at the 5, you know that they've won a ton of road games. If you only have 5 losses since you've come into the conference, now I have to say, I have to give Hilton Magic credit because now they have 6 losses altogether since they come to the Big 12. 3 of those happened right there at Hilton Magic, Hilton Coliseum. And I thought, Kevin, for all the world that would not happen last night because I'd picked the Cougars to win. Iowa State was favored by 2.5, Vegas-wise. And Cougars were in great shape. 6 minutes left. Cougars pushed that thing to a 9-point lead. I would say at that point, Iowa State got some incredible shots late. Houston has that thing. Kingston Flemings was awesome in the second half. He was doing his thing. They were even getting some threes from unlikely. In the first half, Mercy Miller had a thunderous dunk. He was awesome. And then this guy that Kevin has up on your screen right now, that's Nate Heisey. And he hits a 3 from the corner, enormous for Iowa State. Before that, another freshman hit a huge 3 for Iowa State. And he had a big play late, but Taman Lipsey missed 2 free throws that they desperately needed with like 3 or 4 minutes left in that game. And you thought, oh my gosh, I cannot believe he's missing those. This was the rare time where the Houston Cougars wilted and Hilton Magic took over late, and they win that game. Now, Kevin, you and I, and there's Kelvin. Kelvin's like, hey, man. And after the game, he was like, hey, this place is amazing, and it was not for lack of effort on our kids' part, but we lost this game. And that was a tough loss for the Cougars because Lenardi said after the game that he was getting ready to put them as like the number one line and maybe up there like right around Michigan, right? I think he was going to put them as the top seed. Maybe even front of Michigan. Again, Michigan's number one in the country. Houston was number 2 coming into this game. I just saw, Kevin, I was looking at Jay Billis's ranking teams 1 through 68. The Billistrator in college basketball headed into the NCAA tournament, and he had, I believe, Houston. Let's see, because what I don't know is if he factored in last night's game. I think he did. He had Houston 4th, had Duke 3, Arizona Wildcats 2, and he has the Michigan Wolverines 1. Now, Kevin, show me Heisey again real quick. That is the young man who hit the big 3 for, there's Kelvin. Heisey, there he is. Oh, you had him. There he is. You can see TJ Otzelberger. Man loves a good medium shirt, likes to get a good tight shirt on. He is a great basketball coach. When he took over, the Iowa State had been just horrific the year before. I think they won maybe 2 conference games or maybe 1, 2. I mean, they were awful. And he took over. He had been at UNLV. He had coached at Iowa State as an assistant, went to UNLV, came back, and within the next season, and again, this was like before, NIL had really gotten going too crazy. I want to say this is 2021 or 22, whenever he took over at Iowa State, maybe a little bit before that. When TJ Otzelberger, they immediately won 20 games. He's incredible. But Kevin, I thought the story you would love is that Heisey makes that 3 to really the biggest shot in that game over from the corner to give Iowa State a late lead that they would not relinquish. And the Houston Cougars faulted and just could not get the shot they wanted down the stretch, even though Kingston Flemings generally gets wherever he wants. Same with Emmanuel Sharp. What a great Cougars team. Sanak is getting better and better. He hit a big 3 in this game. But there's Toure. There's Toure for Iowa State. He's more of a role player, but he's a good one. He can rebound. He can defend. He can do all the stuff. But this Iowa State team is firmly, in fact, Billis has Houston 4 and Iowa State 5 on his top 68. But Kevin, what I keep trying to tell you about Nate Heisey is that his sister, only several hours before, scored one of the big goals for the U.S. women's team as they get ready to move on in the Winter Olympics. And she is a great, great hockey player. In fact, almost every game I've paid attention to in the Olympics, she has scored a goal. So from the same family, Heisey hits this huge shot for Iowa State. And then hours earlier, over in Italy, there is his sister with a huge goal for the U.S. women's hockey team. Very cool. Very cool. Now, our man Fran Fraschilla watches this show and will be on with us soon. In fact, I need to get him on this week. He was doing the game last night. Every time I try to get him on, he's like, he's traveling or whatever. But if he can, he'll make it happen. And boy, Fran last night was big on President's Day. He kept coming back. I liked his President's Day line on when Jefferson threw it over to Buchanan for Iowa State. He said, on President's Day, it's Jefferson to Buchanan. So that was okay. But then he couldn't let it go. He did another Jefferson thing with on President's Day, it's Jefferson for Iowa State. He just really was big. He got caught up in all his President's Day stuff. Now, I thought you would find this interesting, though, guys. I was looking at this top 68 from Billis. Illinois, he's got number 6. The Florida Gators, who I said yesterday were ranked too low. I think they have them either 11 or 12 in the country, the AP. He has as the 7th best team in college basketball. He has UConn 8th, the Kansas Jayhawks 9th, and Nebraska 10th on his list. Now, out of morbid curiosity, I wanted to go down and I wanted to see, he's got Texas Tech 18th. Really? That's way low for the Billustrator. Texas Tech AP had Texas Tech, I think 13th yesterday, Kevin, and I thought that was too low for Texas Tech. The Billustrator has them down there at number 18 in the country. He said Texas Tech has one of the most potent scoring duos in the country in Toppin and Christian Anderson, but there is not a ton of depth. I don't know. I think he's got them way too low. Now, he's got BYU all the way down there at 22nd. He's got Louisville 23rd, and he's got the St. Louis Billikens, who are having a great season, down there at 25. At 26, the unbeaten Miami of Ohio Redhawks. All right, he's got A&M 27 in the country. So that's kind of interesting. I'm trying to see who I think he has down here too low. Texas has had some really good wins lately. University of Texas, he has them 31. That seems too low to me, even though I'm not usually taken up for University of Texas. Kevin, since you actually cover and follow and watch these Big Ten games involving the Indiana Hoosiers, he says Lamar Wilkerson has put the Hoosiers on his back during a recent 6-game span, averaging 28 points per game, including his second 40-point game of the season. It says, after struggling to log a resume-building win, Indiana has beaten Purdue, UCLA, and Wisconsin in this stretch. The Hoosiers lean heavily on the 3-ball and overall offensive efficiency, and no team has more Division I experience, according to KenPom. Kevin, he has the Indiana Hoosiers right now as his 34th best team. Now, on your behalf, I will just say that feels a little low to me. Kevin, does that feel low to you, or are you okay with that ranking?
See, I have to. I've been a skeptic, as you know, since DeVries was hired, and so
okay. But what do you think? Is that too low or too high?
So I think it's too high. They just lost by 20 to Illinois. I know it was at Illinois. They play Purdue again.
Illinois is good. Illinois is really good.
Right. They play at Purdue again on Friday, and then they host Michigan State March 1st. To me, that game against Michigan State at Assembly Hall in Bloomington is going to be the deciding factor of whether they get into the tournament or whether they get out, and we'll really see who they really are. They already lost to Michigan State there. So when you think of all of their wins, the only away win that they have that is a feather in their cap is a overtime controversial win at UCLA.
All right. That's interesting, Kev. Here's a huge disrespect from Jay Billis. Okay, too much respect is being shown to my alma mater, but enormous disrespect for the TCU Horned Frogs, which I don't mind. But TCU, he's got 55th in his top 68.
How many teams have they almost beat that are really big?
They have, let's see, rough start.
They almost
last
beat
week's
UConn.
Massive win over Iowa State. No, they played They played Michigan extremely tough.
Yeah.
But with last week's massive win over Iowa State to go with early season win against Florida, and Florida's turned out great. You can't just say, well, Florida wasn't that good back then. I mean, that same Florida team, most of the same players, is pretty dang awesome right now. The Horned Frogs are trending in the right direction. They have TCU. He's got them at 55, behind Baylor at 54. Again, I love that he's overranked Baylor, but excuse me, where is Baylor here? But no, he's got Baylor in front of. Baylor is in front of. Okay, let's look down here. Baylor's right behind TCU at 56. See, I think that's what I was thinking. It's just that, but TCU swept Baylor. TCU has some extremely impressive wins on its resume, and as you said, Kevin, very good close losses. One to Michigan. There was another one at Kansas where they had a meltdown. They were up by like 15 with 5 minutes to go or 12 points and just completely had a meltdown. So some really good close losses, and they're only one spot above Baylor. Let's see. It says Baylor is a top 30 team in offensive efficiency, but a 3-9 record in the Big 12 has it looking like an NCAA tournament long shot. I don't even understand why we're still talking about them as a possible tournament team. It's just because when you play in the Big 12, you play against that top 5 or 6 teams. None of those losses really hurt you, and any win helps you. But they're only good wins. They had one non-conference. They had a win over Creighton, and Creighton's not ended up being any good. They had a on-the-road win against West Virginia. That is a decent win. They had an on-the-road win against Oklahoma State. That is a decent win because of where they came and because both West Virginia and Oklahoma State are ranked ahead of them in the field. Still, they're 3-9. To me, it doesn't feel like they have much of a shot here. Let me see who he has that I think he really is hating on that's ranked kind of low. He's got the McNeese Cowboys as his 68th team. I don't know where he has Stephen F. Austin. I thought Stephen F. Austin was having a really good season. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kevin. He said Bill Armstrong has picked up where Will Wade left off in Lake Charles, talking about McNeese, as the Cowboys are battling with Stephen F. Austin for Southland Conference supremacy. No team forces turnovers at a higher rate than McNeese, and that leads to 22 points per game off of those takeaways. Very interesting. All right. I just found that list to be interesting where Billis thinks everybody is. I would also say as far as teams he's disrespecting, he's got Clemson 29th. I thought Clemson's pretty good. Entirely new roster. Brownell has coached his players to 20-4 start. Why are we hating on Clemson and Brownell? 29th? He has them as the 29th best team? I don't know, guys. That seems a little low to me. Now, Kevin, later in the program today, we do need to get to our top, all the teams that did not make the NFL playoffs. Which of those teams are going to have the biggest bounce back years? And where do the Cowboys fit into that? I really love that story, and we just had too much going on, quite honestly, to get to it. I have confirmation we're going to have DJ Lagway on with us next week. That'll be fun. I have word on our the next time Doug McNamee, Baylor's director of athletics, is going to be on with us. So again, we got a lot of stuff coming up. And Kevin, the reason we get all these interviews is because they like coming on with us. And Baylor likes us, which is nice. But that said, we got to keep our focus, because we're going to have all kinds of great guests coming up, but I did want to tell you about two of those. And we will have DJ Lagway on very, very soon. We covered that very closely. And so I'm appreciative that we can land these types of interviews for you. So DJ Lagway will join us next week. And we were first to have Doug McNamee, Baylor's director of athletics, first to have several of these folks. And so we have enjoyed that. First to have Joe Klanderman, Baylor's defensive coordinator. All right. In case anybody's scoring at home. Of course, I never keep score. All right, Kev, let's do some Campus Confidential. Brice Cherry, the sports editor of the Waco Trib, will join us at 2:00 today. But next, it is time for Campus Confidential.
When Central National Bank decided to partner with Baylor women's basketball, we were hoping Coach Collin would bring that championship mindset to do whatever she has to do to take our workplace culture to the next level.
Well, these donuts are pretty good.
Guys, how we doing?
We're good, Coach.
Craig! What are you doing?
What do you mean?
You have to dunk it.
So far, I think our employees are really enjoying it.
Not everything's a basketball thing.
Did you say something, Craig?
No, ma'am.
That's what I thought.
Dude, I think she likes you.
Central National Bank, proud partner of Baylor Athletics and Baylor Women's Basketball.
Experience the future of secure private cloud storage with Internix. Protect your files with end-to-end encryption, ensuring your data stays private and accessible only to you. That's INTERNXT.com today.
Welcome to Market XLS, your all-in-one Excel solution for investors. Designed as an enterprise-grade platform, Market XLS caters to investment managers, secure and efficient investment management and research. Book your free demo.
Experience with the Mosley MD hair regrowth kit was amazing. It was easy to use. It let me take off my hat. I could go in public and have my picture taken and feel normal again.
MosleyMD.com.
At 4U Health, we believe wellness and lab testing should be accessible, inclusive, and yes, fun. With our tech-powered at-home lab test, you save time and money while feeling your best. 4U Health. Visit 4uhealth.com today.
BadCreditLoans.com is a pioneering service provider that has carved a reputation in the financial industry. Simple, fast, and reliable loan application process. And its commitment to responsible borrowing makes it a trusted partner in the journey towards financial stability.
Unlock a world of convenience with Mullybox, your one-stop solution for personalized subscription boxes delivered right to your door. Each box is tailored to your taste. Mullybox.com. That's MULLYBOX.com. With a focus on performance, design, and customer service, we're here to help you work smarter, not harder. Join us on our journey to simplify your world. Visit acasis.com today. That's ACASIS.com today. Experience the perfect blend of exquisite craftsmanship and life-changing technology with Gevi. Every product is built with precision, featuring specialized parts that ensure durability, efficiency, and safety. Upgrade your everyday with Gevi. Visit us at gevi.com to discover more.
And now back to the show. Kev, late breaking addition to, let's see, tomorrow's show. We'll decide if it's 1:30 or 2. But Baylor, there was some big breaking news yesterday in Baylor circles because a lot of us love this guy. David Wetzel. There we go. That's our breaking news. I would. That's okay. It's kind of growing on me. We'll stick with it for now. I miss the old. I kind of like the old, like the very old school. But Kev, David Wetzel, who played at Baylor, and Matt Rule brought to Baylor with him to help him get things rolling, along with Joey McGuire, who became the head coach, of course, at Texas Tech. And he brought Sean Bell, who was a high school football coach. And those were the three guys that really helped Matt Rule turn things around and get things going after Baylor was kind of struggling there for a little bit after in the post-scandal era. But David Wetzel has left Baylor to go back to the sidelines, and he's going to coach over at Prestonwood Baptist. Well, it's Prestonwood School, and that is part of Prestonwood Baptist Church. And so Prestonwood Academy, anyway, it's a big to-do. It's I think that's where Julius Randle, the NBA player, may have been back in the day. But it's a great program, great support there, and David will do an incredible job. And he was the team chaplain for Baylor football, really helped them get through a lot of things during COVID and everything. And so he's been a huge part of the Baylor family for a long time. Played wide receiver for Baylor back in the day, very fast guy. And so David will join us tomorrow to talk about his new gig and all of that. So we'll look forward to having Coach Wetzel on as he returns to the sideline. He's been a really good friend over the years. So that is exciting. Although that doesn't help us, does it, Kev, when it comes to getting Baylor legends on, because he has all their numbers. I can still reach out to him. He still has all those in his phone. He still has all the contacts, so we'll be okay there. Kevin, let's get rolling here. We do have a major guest coming up at 2:00. Brice Cherry, the Waco Trib. Kev, what do you have for me in terms of Campus Confidential today?
So Michigan decided to part ways with their football GM, Sean McGee. How much of this is this timing smells of new coach Kyle Whittingham here?
Well, it has to be. And from what I was reading about this guy, the On3 folks, not Nekos and some of those people, seemed to think this guy had a great reputation, that he was really, really good at his job. My thought is that kind of like what happens in NFL scouting, sometimes they'll let somebody sort of get through the combine and get through the draft, and then they'll make changes. They wanted probably him to help them get the portal folks all together and manage that. And they may have even told him beforehand that they'd be moving on. But it is interesting timing because they got through the portal season. It's prior to spring football getting going, and they said, we will be moving on. And again, when you see this, Kevin, let me tell you what everybody in Utah land does. They go, oh, no, because Whittingham has brought a lot of his people with him. And Utah did this to itself. Okay, they forced him into retirement by saying, okay, we got your successor. He handled it not beautifully. He did not seem bitter at the news conferences or anything like that. But underneath the surface, he was wanting to keep coaching. And he did not shut that door. And then the scandal at Michigan opened the door to Kyle Whittingham landing that job. So my take is that Kyle Whittingham likes to do it a certain way. He'll either bring his guy in or he's trying to eliminate somebody that doesn't need to be in between him and the AD. There's probably an alignment or a structure he prefers, and maybe this guy didn't have it. That would be my explanation. Now, there'll be people closer to the story from Michigan in the coming days that we might read more, and we might find that there's more to the story.
All right. Well, Mike Elko, staying in college football, shared his perspective on how to fix college football.
This is the Texas A&M head football coach.
Yes.
Okay.
He shared how he thinks it would be best to fix college football with J.D. Pickell the other day. Take a look at this. I want to get your thoughts on it.
Educational background, I feel like you're the best person to ask this question to. If I said, Coach, there's just one thing you can tweak about college football to take a step towards fixing it, what would be that one thing that you're changing about the sport as it stands right now?
put somebody in charge. I think it's a $1.2 billion industry with not a singular voice in charge of it, making decisions for the betterment of college football. And I think until we get that, we're going to continue to flounder with some of those areas. And so, what's best for the SEC isn't always what's best for the other conferences. What's best for the other conferences isn't always best for the SEC. And at some point, we're going to have somebody who's capable of making rules regarding the betterment of college football, enforcement of rules, and all of it. And again, until we get that, I think we're all at risk of this thing not lasting like we want it to last. And so that would be my piece.
What do you think? Is he right? Do you agree, disagree?
Well, I don't know if it would fix everything. It would be nice to, right now we have, there's such undefined parts of this. I mean, it's not like the NCAA still wouldn't lose cases. It's not like, they're going to fix NIL or the portal or any of it overnight by having a one voice or one commissioner. I mean, I'll point toward many, many examples of how Roger Goodell has irritated folks, and he's made poor decisions, and Jerry Jones tried to get him fired. So the thought of having a one voice that's over all of college football, I don't think it's a catch-all. I don't think it solves everything as much as these coaches think it would. I think what it would do, and it's interesting because the commissioner of the SEC, which Elko is in, has a ton of power and a ton of responsibility. And right now, because there's not one of these people, it falls upon, like, the Big Ten and the SEC are basically in charge of the CFP. The CFP has an executive director, but barely anybody knows who he is, right? His name is Rich Clark, I believe. And nice guy. But, the Big Ten and the SEC make all the rules. So they're kind of the de facto leaders of all of this. Does having one central person in charge of all this fix everything? It does not even come close. Would it perhaps be better? Maybe. I mean, I think everybody thought, oh my gosh, this new commission, this rev share, and then having a college football commission, that will somehow fix a lot of this. No, college sports commission, I should call it. No, not really. I mean, we kind of hear about them every now and then and hear what's being done and see what's approved and what's not approved. But I don't think putting that together has really fixed anything. Has it slowed tech down? Does tech, oh, wait, we are only going to use up to $21 million. We're only going to go up to our rev share. No, hadn't slowed Texas Tech down at all. So I did, Kevin, some people kind of liked my tweet over the weekend. I thought I would run this by you. I may have done it. I may have told you this the other day. I don't know. But I basically said that Texas Tech has gotten off to a rough start in baseball. And I mean, I know we're all crying for them. We're very sad for Texas Tech. And so when it showed how bad and how many runs they'd given up and their rough start to the season, and I think they played up there at Globe Life. I simply had a few words on my quote tweet, and I just said, you have to save somewhere. And people like that one. I mean, the Tech people, of course. The Tech people they come at me. Well, Baylor stinks. Baylor, and it's fine. The Iowa State people got after me on me saying that Houston was the best road program. I stick by that.
They are.
You lose one road game, I don't think that makes you a bad road program, but and I kind of like the pride that Iowa State takes in its athletics program, and so I don't mind.
And to be fair, that may be true about Houston anywhere except in Iowa State, according to you earlier.
Yeah.
So maybe
they've lost only 6 games in their entire time of being in the Big 12, which now they've been in the Big 12 for like, what, 4 or 5 seasons? I mean, they've been around for a little while. All right. But they're maybe in their 4th season. They're literally like 45-6.
Yeah.
3 of those losses at Hilton Magic.
Yeah.
Is winning at Hilton tougher than winning at Fog Allen?
Ooh.
I would say no. I would say the numbers will not bear that out. And I still think the refs are more impacted by the crowd at Fog than they are at Iowa State. Now, what I like about the Big 12, and I mean, I wish we could get more of these crews together. They like to put their all-star crew on these big Monday games. And so that's how you get Kip Kissinger. If you're ever watching a Big 12 game and you see the bald-headed ref who looks like he's, I don't know, late 40s, early 50s, that is your number 1 ref in the Big 12. That's Kip Kissinger. And the reason you want him on those games is because he doesn't get rankled by either the coaches or the environment. There's a couple more that are Doug Sermons. Doug Sermons is probably in his mid to late 50s. You want Doug Sermons on your game because he may make you mad, but he's extremely fair, and the big moments don't bother him. So I would say those 2, and then some people will vary Big 12 officiating on what they think about Padilla. I think he's a hothead, and I don't love Tony Padilla, but he's a pretty good ref. I will have to give that to him. He's not a bad ref, but he's also a hothead who, if he hears you chirping, he gets rabbit ears and he will tee you up in a hurry. Those other 2 guys I mentioned are pretty laid back in some areas. All right, sir, what else do you have in Campus Confidential?
Before I ask you the next question, how was your Bible study?
What was I saying about Bible study? Was I worried about
debating between Bible study or Baylor tennis?
Yeah. I went ahead and led the Bible. Okay, here's the thing. I use the word led the Bible study loosely. I had already been asked to share at the start of Bible study, which I don't totally know if I'm getting this right or not. It's a newer Bible study I'm in. I think that's where you kind of share what's going on in your life. Yeah. And I'm not really wanting to do that with like 8 guys, some of which I don't know that well, right? Mm-hmm. So I always kind of choose something that's like not real personal. And I have a friend going through, and I've shared it here. I have a friend going through, has leukemia right now, and he's in a big battle. And it has been on my heart like crazy. So I thought that would be a good thing to share. So I wanted to go see the Baylor play tennis. I opted to go ahead and fulfill my obligation to my Bible study group instead.
And by I watched the outcome, some of it on the crack. That's probably good with the outcome of the Baylor tennis.
Yeah. They
but
lose 4-0 to the University of Texas.
Yes.
And I still think Baylor's great, but they had beaten number 8.
Yep.
Number 9,
yep.
Number 3 in the country,
right.
And then they had to play number, I believe, 7 in the country,
right?
And it was a little too much.
So hopefully the rankings would still come up this next week
in the champion. Oh yeah, they need to be up there around. Yeah. I think it should go from 19 up to like number 8 or 9. I don't know if it'll move that much, but I mean that's what they deserve.
Right. Kind of depends on what happens.
Move them to 10. Yeah. Well, I think today or tomorrow, whenever the next round is, the finals, UT plays Ohio State, maybe today for all I know. That would be Ohio State's number 2 in the country.
Yeah.
All right. Since we are now the official college tennis show. I thought Michael was great, though. Isn't he a good guy? He's a good dude. Yeah.
So tonight, Baylor, are they walking into a coach resurgence in Manhattan against Kansas State?
This is scary. This is scary, Kev. I'm glad you asked this. And we got Brice Cherry, who has written some very interesting things recently on Baylor and the way the women played recently against TCU. Women went out and just killed UCF after that over the weekend. But Kev, it's this feels like the old wounded tiger walking into a buzzsaw. These players, even though Jerome had recently thrown them under the bus, I do think they had a good relationship with Jerome. They were angry. The coach was fired with 6 games left. Baylor's going up against a former Baylor assistant in Matthew Driscoll, who's taken over as the interim head coach. I think the fans will try to show up and support the team. I think this could be a scary moment for the Bears. 8 o'clock tonight on ESPN2. Watch out here. Watch out here. I think this could be a bit of a scary moment for the Bears. All right. With our big time.
Oh, I got a game pick. Last one. Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Game pick for you. It's another one that's kind of like last night. It's not Big 12, though. It's Big 10. Number 1, Michigan, the new number 1, against number 7, Purdue, at Purdue in Mackey Arena.
Give me Purdue. Give me Purdue in the upset. I feel like I bet, I don't know if it's really an upset. I bet Purdue's maybe like a 1 or 2 point favorite in this over number 1 Michigan. Does that sound right to you? Although Michigan's been awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know. I could see Michigan being a 1 or 2 point road favorite here as the Wolverines go on the road to Purdue.
We're thinking about it. The internet is. Apparently it's so hotly contested. Let's see here.
I think my Google's better than your Google.
It could be.
Oh my gosh, yeah, Michigan
2.5, 2.5 for Michigan on the road.
Michigan's favored by 2.5.
Yep.
Okay, all right. I mean, it may make sense, but
so
I think Purdue. I think Purdue covers. I think Purdue wins. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That would be great. That would be great with the next Purdue game being at home against my alma mater, IU. So I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah. All right. Purdue getting a big win, and hopefully that Indiana game becomes a trap game. I get you. I get you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The sports editor of the Waco Trib, man, he's written some interesting columns here recently, especially one the other night that grabbed my attention. And we'll talk about the whole Jerome Tang situation. Brice Cherry joins us next.
The reason that their service is outstanding because the people they have working, behind the desk and the folks working out in the garage, taking care of business. And they give you a date, they give you a time, and they're spot on. And they're professional, they take care of it, and they answer all your questions, and they're fun to work with.
Like Alan Samuels always said, Waco has a lot to offer, and so do we at Alan Samuels Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Come by, let's be friends.
Ready for a better kind of primary care?
At Patient First Direct Primary Care, you get unlimited office visits with same-day or next-day availability.
And instead of rushed appointments, we take the time to actually listen.
There are no insurance hassles, just clear, simple care.
You can reach us by phone or text because access shouldn't be complicated. Our practice has expanded to include Medicare-age patients as part of our direct primary care model.
It's a fresh alternative to the traditional insurance or government-driven systems, care that finally puts you first.
For more information, go to patientfirstdirect.com. And pace.
It's the Restore Clarity Focus Patch, my little secret weapon for staying sharp, focused, and on task. Each box comes with simple instructions inside, so you always know exactly how to apply it. Each patch lasts for 3 days. I love that I can wear it all day.
But boy, it looked effortless.
Man, watch this.
Layups, floaters, threes. He was like an unsolvable equation.
I was born like this.
His resilience, his strength, his belief, adversity never stood a chance.
Know your power.
And now back to the Mosley Show. Our guests, Kevin, are just, have you noticed lately, their timing is impeccable. I mean, I am not known as a man who always arrives right on time. I'd like to be more like Tom Coughlin and just be timed up. I know that shocks you, Kevin. But our latest guest, they're just always like, I'm just looking and I was like, okay, I hope Brice is going to be here. And then he's just boom, right as we're coming back from break. He's just waiting because the man understands how show business works. And we bring him on now, Brice Cherry, sports editor for the Waco Trib. And Brice, good to have you on. I appreciate you coming on today.
Absolutely. Thanks for asking.
Did you know we've had some drama in Manhattan, Kansas here lately? I mean, isn't it funny how sports have this way of, it's like the calendar or schedules almost know when there needs to be drama and like how to capitalize. It's kind of like when the whole Luka thing happens. Everybody's like, wait, when's he coming back? When's he scheduled to come back? And of course, Jerome Tang fired at K-State, and here come the Bears to play K-State tonight at 8:00. And Brice, I would be very worried about, if I'm Baylor, the team they're going to encounter, because again, anger, pride. There's always the new coach. Driscoll's going to take over, another Scott Drew guy. I don't know exactly what they're going to encounter. I do not think this will be an easy win. None of them seem to be, with a team that's 3-9, the Bears. Are you having that same kind of feeling? And isn't it weird how these things kind of happen like this? This happens, and then here goes Scott Drew, who's going to try to spend part of the time he's out there today, or last night perhaps, consoling Jerome Tang.
Yeah, absolutely. The timing is unusual. I mean, just, you don't see a lot of firings, first of all, this late in a college basketball season. Obviously, I think K-State jumped on the chance to part ways with Jerome Tang, using the, sort of angry press conference that he had as kind of an excuse to make a change. I think they were going to make a change anyway. But, I think there's going to be a lot of dispute over the whole for cause element to it all. If I were Jerome Tang, I'd certainly fight for all of my $18 million buyout. But yeah, to your point, I agree. I think K-State played better on Saturday against Houston, than it did the game before that really, as Jerome Tang said, pissed him off. The game against Cincinnati where they got blown out at home. He calls out the players, and they come out in a road game in Houston, not an easy environment, played a lot better. I mean, it was a closer game, and pretty good defense by K-State in that game. And then, like you said, you have all the emotions now of losing your head coach, trying to prove something. Matt Driscoll, new coach, maybe some renewed excitement by the players. So yeah, what I guess could have been a somewhat easy win. I mean, if you can consider any game in the Big 12 an easy win, now shapes up a lot harder. And truthfully, Baylor shouldn't be treating any games as an easy win, not the way this season has gone.
Isn't it weird that Jerome spent all that time with Scott and they're that close, and yet he handles himself so differently? I mean, not that they both talk about their spirituality and their faith and everything, but I was thinking and reading in your column the exact quotes of what Jerome said after being angry after that Cincinnati game. And I can't help but think Scott would never say that. He would, I mean, Scott goes the opposite way. It's kind of sometimes we're like, Scott, how can you not be? I've seen Scott angry, but he just wouldn't ever use those words, because the thought of sort of putting it all on his players and talking about how he was embarrassed for them and the universe. I've heard him say he's embarrassed, but he would have never gone to this degree. Now, does he want Jerome back? Becomes the big question. Does Jerome want to come back? And I think the answer to that question is Jerome right now has a huge chip on his shoulder and wants to go get another head coaching job. As much as I like Jerome, he certainly doesn't appear to me to be an attractive candidate right now for any of those jobs. So listening to what Scott said when asked about would he want to bring him back to Waco, he said something along the lines of he knows his way around Waco, right? How much of a chance do you think that Jerome will come back? And how badly do you think Scott needs him right now? How big of a shot in the arm would that be to Baylor to get a guy back that obviously Scott feels so comfortable with?
Yeah, a lot to unpack there. I think, first of all, how big of a chance is there that Jerome might come back? I'd say a decent chance. If I were putting a number on it, maybe even as high as 50-50. I think you're right that he's not going to be – Jerome is not going to be in line for any of the big openings out there. But could he get another head coaching job? Yeah, I think he could. It's not like the Elite Eight year didn't happen. That certainly remains a feather in his cap. But I think you hit on something there where Scott and Jerome's personalities are very different. I think sometimes you need a good cop, bad cop situation on the bench. And maybe Scott could be the good cop where Jerome was the bad cop. That's simplifying it a little bit. And that's not to say that Scott never holds guys accountable or, never gets in their face and challenges them or something. I think he does do that. I just don't think we see it as publicly. You're right. He's not going to be one that was going to call out his guys in a press conference setting like that. But I've had enough conversations with Scott to know also that he does agree with Jerome that, players have to take accountability too. There's obviously, if you look at the Baylor situation, the last couple seasons, they've had some big misses in the transfer portal. There's no way to describe it other than that. Jeremy Roach was a miss. I think you could say Michael Ratai was a miss. Now, is there fair criticism to be thrown at Baylor where, we've got to examine how we evaluate guys? Sure. Yeah. You could say they need to look at that and maybe revamp that some. But at the same time, Michael Ratai averaged 17 points a game at Oregon State. Jeremy Roach led Duke to a Final Four. These things didn't happen in a vacuum. And so does the player have some ownership in all this where, maybe he quote unquote got the bag, as the kids say, and said, yeah, I'm good now. I'm gonna take a step back. I don't have to play as hard. I mean, I'm not trying to throw these kids under the bus, but I mean, the fact of the matter is Michael Rattai's just got to play better, and you could say the same thing back when Jeremy Roach was here. Now, he had some injuries, some concussions and things that obviously didn't help with him, but so yeah, I mean, I think Scott and Jerome carry a lot of the same philosophies. But you're right. I don't think Scott would ever have the kind of viral press conference that Jerome had. He would, he's careful in what he says in the press conferences.
I mean, if you think about it, he's after Tang in short order, Jacobs and AB leave in the same offseason. Nunes has something strange happen this season and is suddenly gone. And then it's just like these people that had been with Scott and it helped recruit. I mean, VJ Edgecombe, that was the gift that AB left Baylor. Okay. Now they all recruit him, right? But that was his primary thing. And he was known as a relentless, great recruiter. I think that probably isn't even getting talked about enough, Brice. It's just the erosion. And even when they bring somebody in, right, new, like Bill Armstrong, he's gone within a year. He goes and replaces Will Wade at McNeese. They've had a lot happen, including the Rob Wright thing. And by the way, Rob Wright shot, was unbelievable in that game. And then the other night when he was at Baylor, and then he follows that up with a 39-point game. And they're missing one of their players, just got hurt and is out for the year. So Rob Wright will have an even bigger deal. But how much that's why I think the Jerome thing is even more interesting, in that Scott has just lost so many people that were a part of this run and that were so important to him. So, and I think Scott really values having people around. Now, Ty Beard and Tweedy have been around the program for a long time. So I don't want to act like there's nobody here. What's going to be awkward is Sanchez, who I think is a very accomplished and good defensive coach that doesn't have a lot to work with, obviously, this season, is already in place as your associate head coach. So if you brought Jerome back, that there would be some awkwardness there, because I think Jerome would expect to be the associate head coach.
Sure.
And they've already hired Sanchez to do that. But how much do you think all those things I just mentioned might be in play here and might speak to why this thing has gone in the wrong direction for Baylor?
I think certainly some of that is at play. A lot of, I think Baylor fans will say, look, Baylor, the phrasing that they might use would be, Baylor hasn't done anything since Jerome Tang left. I don't know that that's completely fair. Have they made the second weekend? No. But here's what I think is a bigger factor in all of this is college basketball in 2026 is a heck of a lot different than it was in 2021. We're talking 5 years ago. Just in 5 years, the transfer portal has exploded. It's the way you build your roster now. I mean, it was not the way you built your roster 5 years ago. I mean, to a certain extent, yes, you got some guys out of it, but not to the extent it is now. And so I think Scott and Jerome at K-State and everyone else is navigating this new world and trying to figure it out. And I think what Scott does best is develop guys. He has a history, a track record of sort of unheralded prospects coming to Baylor and developing over several seasons. I do think they will benefit next year from some actual returners. They'll have two that they redshirted this year in Mayo Sayoye and then Andre Iguodala's son, Andre II. Both of them will benefit from having been in the program a year. Presumably, you'd have James Najee for a second year, Isaac Williams for another year. Again, this is assuming nobody transfers out. And, that's a tough assumption to make in today's game. But I think all of those guys would benefit from, another year of getting better and just the experience that they gained this year. Scott hasn't really had that in a few seasons. And so I think that's going to be big. I honestly think that Cameron Carr, there's a chance that he could be back. Like, I think Tunde is probably gone. Tunde is going to be a first-round pick no matter what. We'll see if he lands in the lottery or not. But he's going to be a first-round pick. I think Cam has kind of played himself down on draft boards over the course of the season. He's a little erratic, coming off a 1-for-11 game, his second 1-for-11 game in conference play. Now, he has some unbelievable games too, but he's got to get stronger. I think he's got to get a little thicker. And I think he actually realizes that he needs to get better and improve his draft stock. So I would not be surprised if Cam Carr is back here next season. Well, now you're talking about Cam Carr, Najee, Isaac Williams, Bodo, presumably. And then, Monty Williams' son's coming in. And so, okay, you've got a nucleus of something there. And, of course, you're going to add some pieces in the transfer portal too. But that's why I think so much of this, like, if Scott can get some seasons together where he is able to develop some guys, then I think you're talking about putting together deep playoff runs again, getting to the second weekend.
It's just like a guy like Carr, you got to decide how much are you willing to do, because
That's
just
correct.
based on that talent you're talking about, I'd love
That's
for him to stay. And I think he owes Baylor a lot because he came in, and I think they've helped him go from a 2-point per game. But if he does stay in, we don't think BYU or somebody of that ilk is willing to pay him $3 or $4 million a year. I don't think Baylor can afford to do that. They need to
see
spend that
that
money.
you're the bad cop and I'm the good cop.
Yeah,
that's
I like
what we're
that.
doing right now.
I like that. Yeah.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of it is, we obviously saw that with Robert Wright, where Baylor thought, oh, well, we got a piece to build around here. Well, no, BYU came in and said, cha-ching, we'll pay you more. And I think this is another whole, we could do a whole nother hour on this, but obviously I do think there has to be at some point, if these guys are going to get paid, there's going to need to be some firmer contracts in place.
Yeah.
Where, if you sign something, then, there are extreme penalties if you try to get out of it.
Need to go hire whoever's representing Jerome. Jerome's.
How about that lawyer trash talk? How great was that? Where he was like, hey, if you thought K-State, if you thought you were embarrassed now, wait till you get in the courtroom. I'll show you.
Tom Mars, who seems to be a big Twitter guy. Do you want your lawyer being a big Twitter guy? I don't know, but
I don't know, but man,
yeah, I don't know why they didn't.
Trash talk.
I mean, Duke fought that thing with Mensa. Washington fought that quarterback who tried to leave and maybe go to LSU, and they, in some ways were able to enforce those contracts. I don't know why Rob's didn't seem enforceable.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Some of it has to do with buyout clauses and whether they put them in. And sometimes, see, if these agents will, if you say, well, we're going to put a buyout clause in, agents say, well, I'm going to go with somebody else. So the only way you can sign them is go, we're not going to put a buyout clause. So you don't put the buyout clause in, and then you give them the true freedom of movement. That's probably what happened with Rob Wright, Brice, some of my lawyer. I did go to law school. Some of that comes back every once in a while. I liked your column recently on that Olivia Miles game, Baylor and TCU, and not just because you had my name in your lead, although that it is interesting because I'm always I'm like, what? I wonder what Brice wrote about this. And I opened it up and I'm like the first line, it has my name. The first thing you do is like, oh my gosh, what is this? What is he about to say?
Why is he throwing me under the bus?
What have I done? What have I done? But yeah, I thought that was really well done. And I couldn't help but think about Mac, because the maddest Mac Rhodes has ever been at me was, I think, him feeling like I was still showing a little bit too much loyalty to Kim Mulkey. And she's such a lightning rod, as you know, and you brought her up in that column because and again, it's hard not to, because it's always there in the context of, okay, Baylor's been fine under Nikki, but like in a big game like that with a big crowd, it's hard not to think of, okay, what would Kim have done? And you even did the WWKD or whatever line. So I thought that was really good column, but I couldn't help but think, because Mac and Kim hated each other, in case anybody doesn't understand that or realize that. And it's mutual. Like, I don't know which one hates each other the most. The hatred is there from both sides. They just don't, there's no respect. And so he was totally fine with her leaving to go to LSU. But as I read that, I couldn't help but have that in my mind, Brice, is that like that would have made that would have embarrassed Mac, even you bringing up Kim in the context of all that. What in writing that and doing that, I'm curious, did you get any blowback from Baylor? Or, I mean, the good news is I think McNamee has been a fan of Baylor for so long. I don't think anything that you said in that column could have come as a surprise to him. So I guess what I'm thinking is there might have been more blowback if you'd have written something like that 6 months earlier.
Yeah, for sure. I haven't really gotten much blowback. I mean, I didn't pull any punches. You're right. I mean, I took them to task because to me it was another golden opportunity for Nikki's program to maybe shrink that Mulkey shadow just a little. The Mulkey shadow is always going to like hover over this program. But the more big games you can win, the more championships you can stack together. I mean, ultimately, Nikki could win a national championship, and they'd say, well, she doesn't have three. She's always going to have that comparison. There's no question about it. But you could have, that was a golden opportunity for you to step up in a big game against your rival. And here, they laid an egg, and they have multiple times now in a row against TCU. And that was sort of the tone of the column, was that don't call it a rivalry because TCU owns you, But yeah, I mean, I hate to bring up the Kim comparison when it comes to Nikki. But like you said, it's always going to be there. She knew that coming in. I don't know how you couldn't know that. You're following a legend. I think you'd probably, in most cases, most people would rather be the person who follows the person who follows the legend, have a little bit of separation there. But yeah, I mean, I think Baylor whiffed on that opportunity. And so, they deserved some criticism. And yeah. I thought more confounding to me than the game plan of going under screens and letting Olivia Miles just shoot and quote unquote, we're going to make her a scorer. Yeah, she was a friggin' scorer. All right.
40.
Yeah, more confounding than than botching the game plan. Okay, was sticking to the game plan after it showed it didn't work. That was I was like, why are they not adjusting? Why are they continuing to just let her shoot? And I think to Nikki's credit, she thought the game plan essentially worked in the first half. That Miles was somewhat inefficient. She was like 2 of 8 from 3 in the first half. But my problem with that is if you give a shooter, a scorer, enough open shots, they're going to get in a rhythm. And that's basically what she had, was open shots. So it was a weird game plan, and it blew up in their face. And it'll be very interesting to see what happens in Fort Worth in the last regular season game of the season, because I am highly doubtful that they'll employ the same strategy again.
Yeah, I think you're right. It also did not help Nikki that TCU went out and hired Mark Campbell. I mean, let's also, as unbelievable as Kim's teams were, it also, TCU never really cared about women's basketball. And I'm sure they had fine people, nice people coaching, right? But they were never a threat, to the point that Baylor beat them for like 35 straight years, 37 in a row. And so it's not great luck that then they go hire that guy, had been at Oregon and I think Sacramento State after that, who is like the portal god. Mark Campbell every year just kind of reaches in. He's like, I'll have one of that. I'll have one of her. I'll have that. Right. She's been great at Notre Dame. Haley Van Lith maybe wasn't a perfect fit at LSU. I think I'll have one of those. And I don't think, Nikki has had some portal success, and Talia Scott is the big, one of the most gifted scorers in the country. I think the disappointing thing for Nikki's program has been that the old school recruit and develop that they've done with Bella and Bugs. Bugs is fine, and she's kind of ebbed and flowed, but she's still a good player. And she does what she does. She gets a bunch of rebounds. Fauntleroy has gone the wrong direction, and I don't know if we'll ever totally know why that happened. Went from being a really excellent freshman, sophomore player to where she's lost all her confidence, can't shoot, and really gives you nothing as a scorer. Like, that was it. She was a really good player. Mm-hmm. Like, she was headed toward being an all-conference type player. And now she's like literally shoots about 30. I don't know.
Yeah, she's in her head. There's no question about it. Yeah, I mean, you could see it. Like, you're right. The confidence is not there. And it's, she had a stretch, I think, maybe in the middle of the season where she was shooting a little bit better, but now it's gone back the other direction again. So, yeah, that's tough. I mean, because I really like Bella. I think she's a sharp kid. You do like the ones, and you see them more in women's basketball, that are there, their whole careers. And obviously Bella and Bugs are Nikki players from the outset. So, but I mean, it's a fair criticism. Like, you want them to get better over the course of their time here. And, not all of them have.
All right. And lastly, who is what's the local high school team, girls or boys, that we need to be watching? Who can I get on the bandwagon as we get ready for the playoffs here to get going? In fact,
I think there are multiple choices there. You could get on several bandwagons. On the girls' side, I mean, it's some of the familiar usual suspects. The La Vega girls are very good again. They're at state almost every year now, and have a good team and should be back. They're a little further east, but Fairfield girls are the same way. Blake Brackens, they've had a Brackens in Fairfield since the dawn of time. And she's really good. Her sister plays at Arizona State, McKenna Brackens. And then on the boys' side, it was kind of a surprise last year to even, to those of us who see these teams. And like Michael Haig is my main high school guy. He was surprised. But Rappaport Academy here, charter school in Waco, won state, first boys team in our Waco area to win state in about 25 years. We'd had a long drought. And so that was a big deal. And Rappaport's good again, but I will also throw Bosqueville into that mix. Bosqueville beat Rappaport the last time they played last week. So watch out for Bosqueville. They've got like a 6'7" kid, or 6'9", and they've got a real good shooter, Keller Silver, who's really good. His dad was Dwayne Silver, who coached at La Vega. His granddad was Dwayne Silver. His dad is Laren Silver, who played at Riker and played in college. So good genes there.
All right, I like that. I like that breakdown. Man, Brice, and you've got an Aggie, don't you? I've been watching that buckyball. I've got a daughter who's a freshman down there in Aggie land, so kind of interesting to see what's going on with that. Elko, by the way, has come out demanding he wants a czar, a college football like commissioner over everything, and I love that they think that's the answer, because I cannot tell you how often, and you've seen it, people have been mad at Roger Goodell. And so there's this thought like, oh my gosh, well, be careful what you wish for, because the minute they get somebody like that, they'll all be trying to overthrow him. And, oh, he leans too much toward this conference. Like, you might want to keep it, since Big Ten and SEC control everything, you might want to keep it like this. Be careful, because you might get somebody like a Yormark who might kind of skew the other way. He might give some of these other conferences a little more attention. So it's funny to me to hear these people. We've got to have a college football commissioner. Brice, always enjoy our conversations, and I will see you down there soon. And thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, no problem. I'll give you an alert if I name drop you in a column again. So
appreciate it. Just a heads up, so I just am not so jolted. Yes, but I liked it. I like it. The other time you mentioned me was when you were doing a piece on people that had horrible injuries cycling, I think. And you did reach out to me for that.
That's true.
Mosley and J-Mo figured prominently in that. And I think you were interviewing me. I was in my hospital room.
Well, the next time I reach out, it'll be famous sunglasses wearers.
Okay, good. People that freak people out by wearing sunglasses indoors. I like that. All right. Thank you, Brice.
All right. Thanks, Matt.
There he goes, Brice Cherry. We have a good time together, and we cover we're at all the games, a lot of the games, and especially all the football games. And so we're generally, something will happen right before a news conference where we get to laughing about something. And it's not always the best timing, because sometimes it's like after a bitter loss. And so nobody wants to walk in and see a couple of guys having a laugh. It's never about the team. It's always about something completely different. But good stuff there, and a good conversation with Brice. Okay, Kev, we've got several things on our mind, including, and we got to get to this NFL, because I want to do that. But Mark Cuban had some breaking news, said something very interesting earlier today. I want to react to that. Let's do it next.
Enjoy a quiet atmosphere with beautiful river views at the Brazos Landing, located in Waco along the Brazos River across from McLean Stadium. Enjoy homemade dishes like shrimp and grits, chicken piccata, braised short ribs, prime New York steaks, and more. Plus, enjoy a delicious dessert like creme brulee or key lime pie. Open for lunch and dinner Tuesday through Sunday. Brazos Landing in Waco, the only place where I-35 and the Brazos River meet.
When you strive for greatness, you have a target on your back. When it comes to finances, We're all targets for scammers. But with the right game plan, you can protect yourself. Don't get faked by fraud.
Here's a tip. If you get a call saying they're going to lock you in jail for missing jury duty unless you pay a fine, that's fake. Scammers use scare tactics to force you to act without thinking. Just hang up the phone.
This message is brought to you by Central National Bank.
Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. NordVPN.com. That's NORDVPN.com. Welcome to Kitbag, the ultimate destination for football fans. Whether you're cheering for Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United, or any other top club, for true football passion, think Kitbag. Visit kitbag.com today. That's KITBAG.com. Kitbag.
Our patented handles were launched in 2018. We continue to push the boundaries of strength training. Join us in making your training more natural and effective. Visit Engels90.com to learn more and revolutionize your workout.
We offer fast shipping, exceptional customer support, and furniture solutions that stand up to high traffic environment. Elevate your space with Biz Chair's vast selection of stylish, reliable, and cost-effective furniture. Visit us today at bizchair.com to transform your business.
Circulon C1 Series Clad with Scratch Defense Non-Stick. Maximize cooking, minimize cleaning. Discover the unmatched durability and elegance scratch-free, worry-free, forever.
At Tusain's, we understand that maintaining a healthy lifestyle can be challenging, especially in today's fast-paced world. That's why our mission is to make fitness accessible to everyone, anywhere. Visit Tusains.com today and start your journey to better health. That's TOUSAINS.com.
Farmhounds offers natural treats and chews made with quality products that support family farm, regenerative agriculture, and humane farming practices. Give your dog the best with wholesome, organic ingredients that promote health and happiness. Shop now at farmhounds.com.
It is the Mosley Show. Kevin Hall and I doing our thing on a Tuesday afternoon. Looks like the sun has come out. Looks like everybody's kind of ready to get out, move around the neighborhood a little bit. I think I'll do the same. Love to get the tennis racket out. Maybe even go hit a few golf balls. I mean, that could be in my future. But great to be with you today. And, man, some good stuff from Brice Cherry, the sports editor at the Waco Trib. Kevin, these quotes, it's become a national news. Mark Cuban gets on Twitter and has some comments, there he is, about tanking. And headline on this story says, Cuban, NBA should, quote, embrace tanking to improve the fan experience. Okay, that leads you down here to go, all right, what is Mark Cuban talking about? Because on the rare occasions the Mavericks have been actively tanking and trying to lose games by playing inferior players and taking some of the stars off the court, I can't recall sitting in the stands going, gee, man, this is a better fan experience. This is pretty cool. They're trying not to win tonight. All right. I understand the concept. Embracing tanking seems like an odd, but it's counterintuitive. And I like things that are a little bit off the beaten path. So here we go. Here's what he had to say. Few can remember the score from the last game they saw or went to. They can't remember the dunks or shots. I don't know. I mean, what's he talking about? I remember the game I recently went to see Cooper Flagg and Con Knipple playing against each other. I remember a lot of the plays from that game, the dunks and shots. But okay, you say, well, Mosley's in the media. You don't count. All right, fine. What they remember is who they were there with, who they were with. Okay, I guess I was just with some friends, but and we had a fine time, but I don't remember like coming home, going over and over. I did have a fun time with my friend Ted taking the train down there because we don't normally do that, but I don't know if I most games I come back like, talking real big about, oh my gosh. Now, I guess when I went with my little girl when she was a James Harden fan, that was fun. Anyway, what they remember is who they were with, their family, friends, a date. That's what makes the experience special. All right. Still don't understand the tie-in with why they should embrace tanking. I'm not even saying what he's saying is wrong, but that doesn't have anything to do with tanking. Now, last week, just as a reminder, the Jazz were fined $500,000, the Pacers $100,000, with the NBA saying both teams sat healthy players in recent games while noting that moves that compromise the league's integrity won't be tolerated. Cuban said, the worst S, bad word, the worst S the NBA dishes out is that if you don't lie to your fans about what you are doing, even though it's obvious to them, you get fined and they threaten you with losing picks, he wrote. He said, we didn't tank often, only a few times over 23 years. But when we did, our fans appreciated it. And it got us to where we could improve, trade up to get Luka, and improve our team. Don't remember, Cuban wrote that the team was fined $600,000 after that, saying, quote, it's a joke. He said, when I got in the NBA, they thought they were in the basketball business. They aren't. They are in the business of creating experiences for fans. Okay. And he also thinks you should make it more affordable. That's fine. Like I'm all for that. Kevin has a lot of children. To take all his kids to an NBA game would basically bankrupt him. All right. It's a very difficult thing. To really sit in nice seats and get all the things Kevin's family would enjoy getting in terms of souvenirs, food, and everything, it would set him back somewhere between $2,000 and $3,000 to go have that kind of nice experience.
See,
and that's being conservative.
This statement is such a rich person response to all of this. I have been to a few games, and I remember there's only one game where I remember the company and the things that he's talking about, and that's when my friend and his son let Liam and I come along with him to a Miami Heat game. We got to sit in a suite. So yes, I got to live like a rich person for a little bit and think of these things. Normally when I go to a game, I pay for the game. I'm there to watch the game. And so if you want to make a better fan experience, it has to be better basketball. Stop letting people travel. Stop letting the stars only get fouled and go to the free throw line. Let's make a better basketball game. So I disagree that it's just entertainment.
Yeah, and to your point,
ask college basketball.
Part of the tanking, college basketball has gotten better. The higher quality of play,
right.
And because they can,
And it's not like they're hurting in the bank account for doing that. Better basketball,
to your
better
point
quality
on officiating,
sports.
They've cleaned up some of their charges where it used to be all of those were charges and it was miserable to watch. And now a lot more of those are blocking fouls, and that has cleaned up the college game. So I think Kevin is right on that. But I just don't see the fan experience having really the fans don't enjoy tanking. Now the commissioner had said that tanking has been, quote, worse this year than we've seen in recent memory, and he is considering every possible remedy, including taking away draft picks to stop it. All right. I did see one other story, Kevin, that grabbed my attention, and then we'll hit on this NFL, the franchise tag, and then we'll get to, I promise you, at some point we'll get to our NFL, the teams, the non-playoff teams, because that's about a 20-minute discussion. All right. We don't have time for that. But Tiger Woods is not ruling out a return to professional golf as early as this year's Masters tournament in April. He underwent lumbar disc replacement surgery in October and also ruptured his left Achilles last March. He has not played an event since the Open Championship at Royal Troon in 2024. I hope he doesn't do this.
Is he trying to do a LeBron James and play with his son? Is that what he's trying to do?
No, son's not close enough to that. If he ever, that's an interesting question though, Kevin. The son is still 2 or 3 years away. I think son maybe 15
he just
16.
committed to Florida State.
Yeah. But I don't think he's even a senior in high school. I think he's probably like a sophomore in high school, right? The son's going to go play college golf for Florida State, which is what he should do. I'm not saying there couldn't be someday where when they're 55, right? But I don't think it's quite as vain as what LeBron was wanting, which was like draft my kid, make it about us. The worst thing that happened for LeBron was them trading for Luka because it's now about Luka, and LeBron is used to it being about LeBron. So mark my words, this offseason, LeBron will go elsewhere, and so that he can have another couple of years for it to be just about LeBron, or to have a goodbye tour perhaps next year. I don't think LeBron's going to just surprise us and suddenly retire without the fanfare. All right. That does not sound like him. I don't know about that. I hope, again, it's so tough to watch him play right now with how he's feeling. Tiger went on to say, I entered a new decade, so that number is starting to sink in and has us thinking about opportunity to be able to play in a cart, he said. That's something that, as I said, I won't do out here on this tour because I don't believe in it. But on the Champions Tour, that's certainly an opportunity. So now, as crazy as this sounds, Kevin, his star power could transform the Champions Tour. The 50 and over group, and of course, Mickelson doesn't have anything to do with it. Mickelson's making all his Saudi money over there on the Live Tour. But for Tiger to go play in Champions events, it would bring, he still has that much star power, even at age 50. I can't believe he's 50 because I've always thought we were kind of the same age, but I don't know. He just seems so youthful. It's hard not to think of him still as that young guy. So even when they write it and show that he's 50, it seems crazy to see it in print. I don't know. I think it'll be fascinating to watch and see how that all plays out. Now, Kevin, the other story today that's is the NFL franchise tag. Today is the first day you can officially do it. We think that that's what the Cowboys are going to do with George Pickens. And I mean, I wish for once they could actually that will be used as a placeholder. Do I see the Cowboys getting proactive on this during the combine and getting a new contract? No, because it's not what they do. And so then George Pickens will have the opportunity to go, you know what? I'm on the portal. I'm not going to come to the OTAs. I'm not going to come to the mandatory veteran. Now, he may come to that one so he can avoid getting huge fines or whatever. But it's going to create an awkward off season. Now, Kevin, let's put that up there, that graphic that has to do with everybody else that's going on there. Now, I think the Seahawks came out today and said they are not planning on franchise tagging Kenneth Walker III. All right, so he's going to be a free. I'm not saying they don't want him, but I do think he'll come out there as a free agent. we've got Daniel Jones and Alec Pierce from the Colts. And Kevin gave you a breakdown of that earlier. He does not seem excited about the Daniel Jones franchise tag in the sense that it's going to be so long until he's back. And, and I don't think Colts fans are that excited about them getting a long-term deal done with Daniel Jones, even though he had a really good run last year as their starting quarterback. Now, Kyle Pitts, you know him as the great tight end. Trey Hendrickson, the big-time defensive end from the Bengals. I mean, the problem with the franchise tag, and you can do it 2 straight years, I mean, it creates ill will. Different players handle it differently. Dak handled it fine. He was bothered by it, but he still showed up for everything. And so he didn't let it undermine him. And by hanging in there and playing on the franchise, he ended up getting the most lucrative contract in NFL history. And he makes $60 million a year. Now, you might think, well, you can't pay 2 receivers over $30 million a year. Yes, you can. They do it in Cincinnati. They do it with Jamison Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown with the Detroit Lions. Okay, it certainly happens. I think the Cowboys would like to not get in one of these protracted, long things. Now, Pickens has the same place and representation that that Micah Parsons had, David Mulligetta. And so but there's someone under Mulligetta that's actually Pickens, I think, day-to-day type agent. Doesn't mean Mulligetta can't get involved, but so I don't know if you're going to have the same level of acrimony that you might have if Mulligetta was a day-to-day guy on this contract. Do I expect Jerry to handle this negotiation differently than he handled with Parsons? Yes. Jerry is still wants to say that the Parsons deal did not run into problems because things got personal between he and the agent and the player. He says it was because it got to the point where the money and the picks were more important to the Cowboys than the player, than Micah Parsons. But don't think for a minute that the Cowboys weren't ready to spend huge money on Micah Parsons. But in the end, they all got mad at each other and they moved on. And that's how he ended up with the largest non-quarterback salary of all time. And that's how the Cowboys ended up not having a pass rush. I mean, they have Azaraku coming back, Houston. They really have nothing. So everything the Cowboys are going to have to do. I heard somebody say today, Kevin, and by the way, Brazos Landing, I just heard from Becky Lindsay, the owner out there. We're doing the Landing right now as we speak. We love them. We love them. We love going by there. Thank you for the Bang Bang Shrimp. Thank you, Alan Samuels. Thank you, Ted Teague. Thank you for what y'all do. Thank you for how huge a part of the show you are. We show your commercials. But, man, I love talking to you. I love talking about you. And I love this Lake Waco. I mean, this country club. Wow. I mean, it's the only place that has the executive 18 par 3 to go along with 18 beautiful holes and to put my money where my mouth is. Kev, I joined recently. All right. And I'm telling you, man, it's a really neat place. Some of the things they do out there. So wanted to mention that. And that's in the pool. Everything about it is really cool. And in fact, I was going to there it is, Lake Waco Golf Club. Wow. Private facility nestled along the north point of Lake Waco. And plus they have their bar and grill and pro shop. Become a member today. Check them out at Lake Waco GC.com. That's LakeWacoGC.com. I'm just telling you, for these kinds of amenities, the deals they're offering on memberships, you just don't normally get. It's especially the level that they have. So they've redone everything, the clubhouse, the pool, everything. Thank you, Lake Waco. It's really appreciate being a part of Lake Waco Golf Club. All right, Kevin, it's been a good one. Man, we've hit on a lot. Tomorrow we'll react to the Baylor. We've got David Wetzel's going to hop on. David is newly. He just took he's leaving Baylor after some great years at Baylor. He'll always be with us, but he's going to take over as head coach at Prestonwood. It's a big time school. It's one of the big private schools in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. He's going to become the head football coach there. And so we're excited for him. We'll have him on tomorrow to talk about it, as we have a big show planned for you already. And we'll react to Scott Drew going to K-State and trying to take down Matthew Driscoll, who's taken over as head coach in an interim capacity. This is going to be fascinating to watch tonight. That's 8 o'clock on ESPN2. Thank you, Kevin. Good work today. Thank you, everyone who watched this. It is the Matt Mosley Show. It is Monday through Friday, 1 to 3. We will see you tomorrow.
Central National Bank, this is Nikki. How may I help you?
Yes, can you please transfer me to the loan department?
You want to transfer?
Yes, please.
I'm sorry, you can't transfer right now.
What?
Have a good day. Yes, how may I help you?
Hi, I would like to transfer money from my C&B account to another bank.
Absolutely not. No. Have a great day.
Wait, hold.
I'm on your website and I'm trying to find the link for your payment portal.
The portal is currently unavailable. Have a great day.
We've received a few complaints.
Correct. We no longer allow any outgoing transfers, only incoming.
But the good news is, no money is leaving the bank. Like, none.
Central National Bank, proud partner of Baylor Athletics and Baylor Women's Basketball.
Everybody at Equalife really has a passion and a real interest in helping people feel well. How much further can we go to get you feeling even better? It is a complete partnership between the two of us.
What if you could clean clean? With bio-based formulas and deep cleaning enzymes. No dyes, phthalates, or mystery ingredients. Just powerful pods for your dishes and laundry. Now you can, with drops made clean, made to clean.
It's not just a glove, it's a 44 Pro. Crafted with dedication, made for performance, and built to last. Get your custom glove today at 44pro.com and experience the 44 Pro difference. That's 44pro.com, 44 Pro.
It doesn't matter if your investment budget is small or big. All you need is Benzinga Pro and its powerful news alerts, price tracking, and portfolio monitoring. Subscribe now, and we'll skyrocket your portfolio today.
I am obsessed with helping business owners increase their traffic and turn it into profit through the power of Pinterest marketing. It's this amazing platform where people are looking for ideas, inspiration. They have a problem and they're actively looking for a solution.
It's hard to find supplements that work. No, thank you. Plant-based supplements made from the Earth's most powerful plants for your immune health, gut health, workouts, and more. Find out more at auraorganic.com.
Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. NordVPN.com. That's NORDVPN.com.